Tonight on the Electric Playground, Martin Scorsese's latest film, Hugo, is adventuring onto the big screen. Voltron is assembling for some robotic action. We've got an exclusive first look at the upcoming MMO Origins of Malu. And the holidays are in full swing with the animated magic of Arthur Christmas. But first, Kermit the Frog is dishing out the details of the Muppets' return to the big screen. Welcome to the Electric Playground. We're the show that brings you the latest and everything cool every single day. My name is Victor Lucas, and if you're as much of a fan of the Muppets as I am, you're gonna love this. Here's Sean talking with Kermit the Frog.
Left leg in trouble. Going down. Left leg going down. What? Oh!
Kermit, it's great to see the whole gang back together in the Muppets. What was it like for you to see everyone again?
Oh, well, it's always great to see the guys. You know, I should tell you that in the movie, it's portrayed as though we've been apart for like 25 years or something. But in real life, we see each other all the time. We did a bunch of internet videos last year and a bunch of TV shows and things. But this is the first time we've been on the big screen in a very long time.
I'm gonna shoot straight. You guys aren't famous anymore.
Yeesh. I wish she'd shot a little more curvy.
Well, you and your gang must be doing something right because you've been around for so long. What do you attribute that longevity to?
I think people identify with us because we really are just normal singing, dancing, joke-telling bears, pigs, chickens, frogs, you know, in show business. And I think people can relate to that.
Check it out! Fart shoes!
This is going to be a really short movie.
Now, in this movie, you get to work with two huge fans of yours who are very inspired by you and your Muppets. What was it like for you to work with Jason and Walter?
Well, you know, they're sort of like two peas in a pod. They're very much the same kind of persons. But they both know a lot about us. They've been watching our work for years. And that helps when you work with people, you know. And of course, Jason wrote our movie.
This is the film I'm most proud of my entire career. I've dreamed of doing this since I was really quite young, and the fact that it's come to fruition now is just amazing. And I got to work with the most talented co-stars you could hope for.
It's an electric fence.
Yep.
As far as what the Muppets mean to you, is it obviously they're a family to you, but what else does it mean?
Well, I think our whole group is kind of nice. We've all known each other for a long time, and we have our little squabbles and our little disagreements, you know? But we really do, at the heart of it all, care about each other. I think that's what all of our movies are ultimately about.
Kermit!
What do you hope fans get out of seeing the Muppets?
Well, let's see. They're going to a theater. I hope they get popcorn and candy. Our film is coming out just before the Christmas holidays begin. And I hope that they understand that all of us Muppets coming together is sort of the way everybody else can do that too, you know?
You think we should have rented a bigger car?
You can catch the Muppets on the big screen right now, and for a change of pace, how about My Week with Marilyn starring Michelle Williams? Here's Jose with the director.
We are here to talk about a week that I would give my life for. My Week with Marilyn, the film. Director Simon Curtis. Tell me a little bit about the concept behind this film and where it came from.
It came from reading the diaries by a young Englishman called Colin Clark, who was the third assistant director on a film made in London in 1956 called The Prince and the Showgirl, which starred and was directed by Laurence Olivier and the great Marilyn Monroe in her first trip to London.
I'm going to fall in love with you.
And so what was it like for you getting to put the story together from the memoirs of Colin?
Well, it was a really exciting journey because, you know, we were telling a first-hand account by a young man who was on the sidelines watching these two great icons of cinema battling it out on the set. And then amazingly, later on, he had this incredibly charmed, intimate week with Marilyn herself. So we learned a great deal about the true Marilyn Monroe from this first-hand account.
And what was it like for you as a director getting to go back into that sort of era and put this together?
It was very interesting. It was sort of a love letter to a lost world of filmmaking and a lost England. And we were able to film at Pinewood Studios, London, on the very sound stages that they'd made the film in 1956, and revisit many of the locations, including Parkside House, where Marilyn had lived when she was in London at that time.
Marilyn, darling.
What was it about Michelle Williams that made her the perfect Marilyn Monroe? Because she pretty much nailed it.
I think she did nail it. I mean, she is an extraordinary actress. She was a gift for a director to work with because she researched everything. She constantly was studying old movies and interviews with Marilyn, and she did really work on two levels. She looked at the exterior body language of Marilyn and also the interior psychological world of Marilyn, and I think that's why her performance has such detail and texture, because she explored everything.
Shall I be her? Marilyn.
What was it like getting to work with Judi Dench and Kenneth Branagh and Emma Watson as well?
Well, it's funny because when Marilyn came to London, she got to work with Laurence Olivier and Sybil Thorndike, and I said, well, I'm going to try and get you a cast on that level when you come to London, and fortunately, we sort of did.
And is it true what they say in the movie, that directing a film is the best job in the world?
Yes, it is the best in the world. It's the agony and the ecstasy is equaled nowhere.
I long to see her.
My Week with Marilyn is out in theaters now, and we'll be right back with more of Everything Cool. Still to come, Hugh Laurie lends his voice to deliver some holiday joy in Arthur Christmas. And after the break, an exclusive first look at a new MMO, and the Defender of the Universe returns. Hey, you've returned to the Electric Playground, and Brianna is joined in studio now for an exclusive first look at an upcoming MMORPG. It's all yours, B.
Maybe with these stones, I could find a way to bring my parents back. Or at least take me away from this place.
Joined here in studio by Michael Dunham of Burning Dog Media, you're here to show off your upcoming title, Origins of Malu. So what exactly is it that you can show us here today?
Well, what we brought here today is kind of some early alpha footage, just to give people an idea of a little bit of the ambience of the actual game itself and see, what the world actually looks like a little bit. The world itself is in Malu, which is this far off, distant world that's part of this gigantic energy network. It's a story about San, who's not a happy guy, and he's kind of out wandering around. So that's where we want to start, and that's kind of where we want to continue. And then we've also brought some preliminary combat and some other little things like that.
So what is the story that's being shown off in this teaser trailer?
Well, the story is about San, and he's kind of like a disgruntled Jola, and Jola is like one of the playable races in our game, and he's been abandoned by his village, per se, and he's kind of out there and looking for something different, looking for better answers. It's about perception of your own reality and perception of the things around you, and he's someone that's kind of came into understanding that what is going on around him isn't necessarily what should be going on around him, so he's looking for something different. He's out there looking for answers, and that's really the basis of the story there.
Tell me more about the title of the game and how that kind of reveals what the game is about.
The world of Malu itself, it's part of this gigantic network of portals around the universe. They're all linked through interdimensions. The Jola, they're on Malu itself, but there's actually other planets in that system, and they're all connected through a dimensional energy network. That's kind of what it's about. We wanted to create a story-based sandbox game where the user was able to do what they want to do from the beginning and really build out their playstyles. We wanted to stay away from class designations, but at the same time, we also wanted to maintain a story. It can't be just a complete free-for-all, but at the same time, we don't want railroad tracks.
Describe the type of game this is, because it's not your typical MMO.
No, it's not. It would be like an RTS/sandbox/MMO/FPS. We really wanted to create our own product and do it our own way.
We'll be bringing you more on Origins of Malu as we get closer to the game's release, and we have been waiting for years for a Voltron game, and we're finally getting one. Here's Sean with a preview.
From days of long ago comes a legend. The legend of Voltron, Defender of the Universe.
Peter, Voltron has fans around the world, millions of them. Voltron is in their hearts, in their minds, and now they're going to be playing Voltron on their consoles. What's happening in this game?
It's been over 25 years of pent-up excitement for Voltron, and we wanted to create a game that delivered to that nostalgic fan of Voltron. The main features are co-op play, 5-player, multiplayer. You play in sort of a twin-stick shooter mode, but with a lot of melee elements. It's paws, claws, and jaws, as you'd expect from playing Voltron with the lions. But it switches over once you get to the Robeast to up to 5-player local action, which basically is a turn-based combat where each player takes turns picking what attack element they use, and the other players will then determine the power of that attack, and you have to hit it just right to execute. So it's all about cooperative play. It's all about playing together as a team. The Lions usually bounce off the Row Beast of the Week. They keep on hitting their heads against it for the longest time. You wear down the Row Beast to a certain point, and then you form Voltron, and there's a whole cool sequence around forming Voltron. And then, of course, the true battle against the Row Beast takes place, and that's where the fun really kicks in, and that's where we put a twist on the gameplay, too, to really vary it.
It sounds like there's a lot of different gameplay types in this game. How did you decide which ones were going to be in the game and which ones maybe you wouldn't use?
The foundation is co-op play, and so what we did was we prototyped a lot of ways that people would play together to find an experience that felt natural, because you might be playing with 4 people you've never played with before. So we wanted to make sure that it was fun when you're sitting down playing online, playing through the whole campaign with 5 people and trying to work it out together as a team.
How are we introduced to the Voltron team in this game?
We have scenes from the show, and they introduced each of the characters, and of course, you learn where the Lions have come from, their special abilities. Each of them, of course, has unique elements to them. And then as you progress through the story, you end up revealing some of your additional powers and also the Zarkon forces that you have to come up against. And there are a wide variety of forces in the series that you'll have to find different tactical ways to take out.
Well, as a longtime Voltron fan, I think I am definitely going to sink my teeth into this one. My paws, my claws, and my jaws.
You'll be able to defend the universe soon, and we'll be back with more EP right after this. Up next, animated holiday magic with the actors and creative team behind Arthur Christmas. You've returned to the Electric Playground, and it's the time of year where we can all start getting excited about the holidays, and it looks like the new movie Arthur Christmas can help with that. Here's Miri Jetikin with Hugh Laurie.
You play the character Steve. Can you describe him for me?
Steve is a go-ahead kind of a guy. He is Santa's son. He's the next in line of succession. Thinks he's going to take over Christmas, and he has big plans for how Christmas can be improved. But in so doing, of course, he overlooks some of the details, the human details.
You're going to have to take the batteries out.
Steve has this almost military approach to problem solving. He's all about efficiency. He's all about creating a well-oiled machine, and misses some of the point, I suppose, of Christmas. That's his failing.
Yes, do believe in Santa. He is real.
And what made you want to play him?
I like the character, I like the story, and I'll admit, I love trying to do things with the voice alone. I mean, I know it's not the voice alone. An animator will be sitting at home watching this and going, "You're not doing it alone, we're doing all the work." But at that moment when you're in front of the microphone, I love just sort of concentrating on the voice alone.
Operation Santa Claus is coming to town.
How is Steve different from some of the other characters you've played in the past?
You know, I worry a lot. I'm a big worrier. I don't know why, but I've always tended towards characters who were much, much less sure of themselves. Maybe that's closer to who I am, actually. I'm much more hesitant, and it's only recently that I've found myself playing characters who are much more sure of themselves and have a clearer idea of the way their lives ought to be led and the way things should be done.
Santa's operation has become a lot more high-tech. Can you describe how?
One of the great things about this story is that it deals with the question that every child has asked at some point: how does it all work? And Arthur Christmas shows how this whole operation works.
Operation Santa Claus is coming to town.
Go, go!
Engage rooftops! My character's plan is to make it better still, faster and more efficient and bigger and better. He's about sort of global expansion at the expense of, you know, some of the finer points.
Ho, ho, ho!
That's a ho, 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 awesome. Field elves jingle, jingle, jingle. Drop time 18.14 seconds per household.
Arthur Christmas definitely has an all-star cast, but it's not just the actors that help bring the movie to life. A lot of fantastic work was done by the talented folks at Sony Animation. Here's Miri with more.
Arthur Christmas is hitting theaters. It's a big, grandiose movie about Christmas. What went into the VFX?
The movie basically shows you how Santa gets the job done in one night. So what we needed to make was a believable world, a world that we could put you into. Instead of putting you in a Christmas world, we wanted to show you in your world how Christmas was done. So to do that, we had to make the world.
That is a huge job. So where do you begin with all of that work?
For us, we flew to Bristol, England, lived in Bristol with the creative team at Aardman, and basically just got inside the director's head. I wanted to know where she wanted to spend her time, her effort, what was important to her. So you start by figuring out your characters, really. We had a good idea what Arthur was going to look like. We had a fairly good idea of what Santa, Grand Santa, but you just start with your main characters and you expand out from there.
From a visual effects standpoint, what do you want audiences to know about Arthur Christmas?
From a VFX standpoint, if I could tell you one thing about our film, it's just to notice the attention to detail. Notice the size of the world that we created. And there's a lot of effort in making that much variation, that many types of environments, that many types of elves, just to bring it to a level of reality. Just to, once again, we want kids to look at it and go, that's my world. It must work, because look, it's happening in my world.
Who cares about one single child?
What were some of the things that were important to you guys when creating this story?
It's always about character. You're always trying to figure out who your characters are in the scenes. And so we have a lot of action stuff as the movie rolls along. We have a road trip kind of concept. But within that road trip concept, we're always looking for those universal themes. What's it like to realize your grandfather's crazy? And I think Arthur, as a character, trying to find his arc, trying to find his journey from being naive to being aware, and then at the end of the film, still being innocent enough that you love him.
Animated movies are often seen as just for kids. How do you guys make it interesting for grown-ups?
Well, we're all grown-ups, and I think we're immature grown-ups, but I think we try to tell stories that we'd want to see, that we'd want to listen to. I think most of us are parents, most of us are kids at heart, so those two things exist in our psyche, so it comes out in the storytelling.
Here we go!
Arthur Christmas is in theaters right now, and we'll return with more EP right after this. After the break, the artful 3D adventure Hugo pops off the screen. Welcome back to the Electric Playground. In case you haven't noticed, this is a huge week for new movie releases, and vying for the top spot is a story about an orphan boy who lives in a train station. Here's a look at Hugo.
Magicians used machines like this when I was a boy. Some walked, some danced, some sang, but the secret was always in the clockwork.
Hugo's a boy of about 12 years old, living inside the walls of the Gare de Montparnasse, one of the big train stations in Paris, 1931. And what he does there, he lives in like an attic room filled with parts of clocks and gears and machines and big window that looks out over Paris. And the boy is alone. No one takes care of him.
It was a fire. You're coming with me.
He's an orphan, and he ends up living with his uncle in a train station, working, doing a man's job. And his uncle leaves, and he's just left alone with this robotic figure, the automaton. So he's quite to himself until he meets Isabel.
Where do you live? Is it a secret?
Yes.
Oh, good. I love secrets. I play a girl named Isabel. And it's a really fun character because she's a very free girl. Even though she is in lockdown, she reads a lot of books and she has a gigantic imagination.
Fix it. I know you've been stealing parts from the shop. Might as well use those you haven't stolen yet.
The environment of the railway station with all its tunnels and secret corners and massive clocks, and Hugo lives in this labyrinth of beautiful tunnels and dark places, and the relationship between him and the little girl is glorious.
Right after my father died, I'd come up here a lot. I'd imagine the whole world was one big machine. What he's trying to do, the main sort of key point in the story, is this robotic figure called an automaton, and Hugo's trying to fix it.
So you're all alone?
Not completely.
What I found interesting was the connection to the boy and the mystery of the story as he unravels this mystery and as Isabel unravels her mystery, how it all comes together and makes their lives fulfilled.
Where did you get this?
Why would my key fit into your father's machine?
The set is breathtakingly beautiful. The toys are beautiful in my toy shop. The colors, the 3D aspect of it. It's going to be like The Wizard of Oz, which is very funny and very moving. It's going to be a terribly entertaining film for decades to come.
Happy endings only happen in the movies.
The story's not over yet.
This is something that's always been exciting to me. I'd always dreamed of doing film in 3D. The story is something very emotional, funny at times.
Give me your best smile.
It was like a celebration.
Tell us a little bit about Amy and why it kind of spooked me out a little bit, because there was some chaos going on.
Amy is a survival horror game. Your purpose is to protect and escort an 8-year-old girl out of a city infested by zombies. The city is infected by a virus that transforms everyone into zombies, you included. So you'll see that being a zombie is not so cool, and if you do that too long, you die. But when you're close to her, she can heal you, and you're not affected by the virus. So sometimes you have to choose. What do you want to do? Do you want to have Amy with you, who can slow you down, or do you want to avoid the enemies?
How are you guys showing visually that I'm turning into a zombie throughout the game? Is there some sort of visual cue?
Lena, the character that you're playing, is a nice girl until she transforms into a zombie, so you see her veins out of her face. She hears voices, so you hear voices. And also the whole environment is deformed, you know, like if you had heat waves around.
Will there be multiple ways to sort of go through the game and play, or is it just pretty much you can only go through the game one certain way?
If you want to do mere action, well, it's up to you. It will be hard because all the guys that you're going to face are always stronger than you. The other way is to do stealth action. If you want to avoid the enemies and try to stab them from behind, sometimes it's easier, so it's up to you.
Everything is going to be okay. I promise.
Here's a look at what's coming soon to Electric Playground. On the next EP Daily, a new Aliens game is bursting out of chests. Our Storytelling 2.0 series kicks off with some robot heart stories. And coming soon to EP, make a list and check it twice with our 2011 Holiday Gift Guide. If you missed anything or want to watch it again, visit g4tv.ca, or to find out more about EP, go to our website at electplay.com. You can also follow us on Twitter under ElectPlay, or catch up with us on Facebook under Electric Playground. We have run out of EP goodness for the day, but I've got one last treat for you before I split, especially if you're a zombie fan. Here's a look at Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Enjoy that, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good evening. Hope you haven't forgotten your friend Nikolai. How do you like my little contraptions?
There are no survivors. They're all dead.
This is war. Survival is your responsibility.